The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Hi, welcome to The Ring and All Other Sports. My name is Leo Connors and I'm your host. And today, it's taken a while, but my special guest is professional wrestling manager, Doc Ozone.
Woohoo!
Doc, what's up, bud?
Oh, me, that's what's up, baby.
I hear this has been a long time
I know,
coming,
but they say good things are worth the wait, so
Absolutely.
Here we are.
Before we get into wrestling and stuff, I told you off here, we got to talk Bruins for a couple of minutes,
Yes,
man.
you know, my favorite thing.
Bruins had it real rough over this round-robin tournament. We didn't win a game.
Yeah, that's not good.
I did see great pieces of them from here and there.
Yeah.
The game, what was it, against Tampa Bay? I liked the second and third period.
Yeah, you could see they were bringing it around, started to get a little physical,
Yeah.
a little chippy in there.
And I think Rask is fine.
He's perfectly fine.
You know what I mean? It's up to the other guys to get their stuff together.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that maybe they've gotten these losses out of the way.
Yes.
And here we go.
Yes.
Take on Carolina
Another
in
real.
game one tomorrow.
Yes. That should be pretty interesting, but they should be all right.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, they're just going to use the round-robin games to figure out what to fix, what to tweak, what to do better, and then they'll just fix it from there and just move right on and be the pros that they are. And Carolina's just all fired up and glad to be there.
They are pretty good, though. They had a pretty
They
good
are.
year.
They're tough. They're like
Yeah.
pesky. You know, they're like a pain in the ass, basically. Can I say ass?
Yep. Of course, absolutely. If not, if it's an F word that gets in there, Dick will just bleep it out later.
All right, that Dick. But anyway. Okay, I make sure I will not.
That's the fifth time Dick's chopped in 5 years.
All right.
So, Doc, where'd you grow up?
Where did I grow up? That's a great question. There's a two-part answer to that.
Okay.
But we'll actually just strip it down to one part because I'm probably on time restrictions. But I grew up in Concord, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
The mean streets of.
All right. Now, when I told you I was going to ask you this question, you weren't sure exactly, but do you remember like the first time you flipped out? Maybe not the first time you saw pro wrestling, but the first time you saw it was like, whoa, man, like, what is this?
I don't know. I was pretty little. And those days, it was like roller derby, wrestling. It was like a Saturday morning, afternoon thing. I think Creature Double Feature or something like that used to come on, and I used to have all the thing, which more segues really into the hockey thing,
Right.
because I had not heard of hockey. I was actually born in Roxbury, Massachusetts, and we had moved to Concord, and I never heard of hockey. I didn't know what hockey was, and but I knew roller derby, I knew wrestling, so hockey was kind of like a weird combination. And I'm like, you can fight like that, and it's cool, get away with it. So I was straight up hooked on that. And but yeah, those days I used to always watch Saturday morning wrestling, and I think I have a hazy recollection of like being very little and like Rocky Johnson and Tony Atlas were like black champions.
Yep.
And I was like, this is kind of cool, yeah. And right around the same time, I was discovering hockey. So
Nice.
and,
All right.
yeah.
Wow, when you did find wrestling, were your friends or family into it?
Yeah, I have an older brother who's actually GA's father, and yeah, he was into it, and at that time that was really about it. You know, I was more telling other people like, "There's some cool stuff going on that you got to check out," you know, and yeah, so. But I was more influenced by me checking it out and being fascinated by it than someone influencing me.
Okay. So who were some of your favorites right away? Was Tony Atlas?
Oh
and
yeah,
Rocky
no
Johnson
question.
right off the bat?
Yeah, super fascinated by them. Magnificent Morocco, probably my top 5 favorite wrestlers of all time. Snuka, Piper, all those guys were a big deal to me, and I was fascinated by their characters and their portrayals, and you know, I thought that was really cool how you could entertain and still kick ass at the same time. You know, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I started watching it most like from what you're saying. I'm a little bit older than you. I started watching it a few years older. You know, but I do remember Tony Atlas and Rocky Johnson, and then to find out later on they didn't like each other was very strange.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
You know what I mean? I thought they would have been best friends.
How could you think? Yeah, not, you know.
All right, how about your first show? And then maybe if you remember your very first indie show. Or which was first? Was it indie or WWE?
Oh, no. Indie for me was like way later.
Okay.
I never even knew or would have had a thought or an inkling or any of that. And like I said, I watched the TV. It wouldn't have been till a long time later on in life, as I was older, maybe 20-something, that I actually went to a live show at the Boston Garden.
Nice.
And it was pretty cool. I don't recall if it was a pay-per-view, if it was just on TV, but there was a whole lot of production. I remember the crazy guys that I was with. They looked like they could have been wrestlers. They were these big, burly, loud, brutal guys that were crazy. But I do remember we had straight up ringside seats. Nice. And they had went by the crowd to the camera. And the camera guy was just like, he's like, we're coming through. He's like, show them like how much fun you have or whatever. So they put the camera on me. And I remember I was wearing some cool leather jacket thing, whatever. I was looking pretty stylish, and that was just me comfortably on a Monday night.
Yeah.
You know? And I just went into the camera, and I was just like, #1, Boston Garden, ba-da-da-da-da. And I was banging my head off the railing and doing all this crazy stuff. And the camera guy was just like, that's great. He's like, that's awesome. And so then little did I know, because that went out to,
right.
You know, I wasn't thinking like that. I was just all drunk and having fun or whatever. Yeah. So I'm walking around in my hometown and the ensuing towns around, and people were going down the street honking horns at me, and they're yelling out, and they were emulating the thing of the head banging off the railing, and I got like notoriety out of that. So that was my first little taste of like, all right.
I think I like this attention.
Yeah,
nice.
I can work with that.
Right. All right. When did you realize, though, like, man, I got to be a part of this?
Well, I started with music, so I've been a musician most of my life.
We're here. Why don't we just talk a little bit about your music right now?
Chin strap. That's all I need to say. A lot of you know it. Most of you love it. And that's my kick-ass rock band that I'm the front man singer for. And that's hard rock meets punk meets metal. Nice. And it's very original, very unique, and it's awesome. Best guys in the world. My band members, Gary, Frank, and what's his name there? Charlie, that's right. No, I'm just kidding, Charlie. You know how much I love you. So that was when I already knew that I was good for, center of attention and being out there and everything. And then this is a really great story.
All right.
Back in the day, I had saw an ad in the paper that said there was a wrestling company opening up. And again, I didn't know things about indie and blah, blah, blah. Like,
right.
I was just really learning stuff about wrestling on TV and that fake and what are you talking about and all this other stuff, So I answered this ad and, just like anything, and this is a more natural way without anybody telling me or thinking that way that, send it up and make it hype and make this guy like think that I'm cool or whatever, So, I mean, I didn't know anything about wrestling. I wasn't a wrestler. So I thought I could be a manager or announcer or whatever,
Right.
So I sent this guy a tape. And I can drop names big time here. The guy was John McAdam.
Yes,
it was the
he's
old.
definitely coming up soon. We'll talk more about him after. But
it was the old original UCW,
yes.
Universal Championship Wrestling, and I used to have this crazy hair, and I did this little videotape that I sent him where I had the hair pulled back and it was down, and I did this really sincere thing where I was just presenting myself, talking about the fans and the good of wrestling and just this good thing. And then I stepped out of the camera angle. I popped the thing out of my hair. I had this exploding. It wasn't even an afro. It was just my own crazy thing that was just insane.
Yeah.
And I pulled it all out and it looked like kind of Statue of Liberty meets Maggie Simpson. And I came back on the camera and I was just like, we don't give a crap about the fans. Blah, 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 blah. And I started ranting and raving and all that. So I sent that to him, and he loved it,
yeah.
Needless to say. So he had contacted me, and he was like, that was really cool. He was just like, I just wanted to, talk to you a little more and get to know and what was going on. So here's me, right? We're having this great conversation, and I'm a terrible, terrible liar. I'm bad at it. That's why I really never put myself in the spot to lie, because I suck at it, But here I am, we're talking away, things are going so good, and I'm caught in the moment, and I tell him that I have a wrestling talk show that I most certainly do not have. It wasn't even based on anything except like I just was, and I'm like, in my head I'm going, what are you saying?
Right.
So I tell him that I've got this awesome wrestling talk show on local cable and da-da-da-da-da, and it's awesome and how awesome I am. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, that's wonderful. He goes, just send me a clip or something from that. And he goes, I think we've like got a good thing here. We should be gold. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll get that to you right away.
Yeah.
So again, this is good testament. Again, it's not braggadocious. This is just, I'm just telling you, this is a heart-to-heart thing, right? So I scatter to put together this thing, and this is amazing, what I'm going to tell you. To put together my show, right? So, I mean, I know so many people, tons of people that do just about everything you can do in life.
Right.
So I'm pulling my resources together. I'm calling my buds. I'm telling them the straight up story. I'm like, I got myself in it now. Help me. So I happen to have had a friend that him and his father owned and ran a sign making company. So I got them to make a sign for my show. And my show was called Westie's Wrestling Wrap-Up. WWW, right? Westie's Wrestling Wrap-Up. It's this cool yellow and black sign. At the time, I was working at a market research company that was inside the Watertown Mall. And so I was an assistant manager there, so I had access to the place. So after hours, we went in. I locked it all up, closed the doors. There were all these partitions and stuff because they did market research surveys and whatnot.
Right.
So I moved everything around, made it not look like that, and I made it look like it was our set. So I cleared everything out. There was a desk there that was just facing straight ahead. And so I had my sign in the back, and there's a clock there and everything. And then I had my buddy who did video stuff. So he brought his high-tech camera down, and he set up. And then I got at the time, it was my supervisor, who was also my best friend, who was also my guitar player in the band Chinstrap, my buddy Steve. And he came down. He had an extra phone, so we sent him in the back. He does voices and stuff, so he was my caller to call in. So he did about 5 calls with all these different voices.
Right.
So it seemed like it was different people, and it was him in the back, but it sounded like, oh, let's take another call, a bloop, and he's in the back going, oh, yeah, this is Joey from Watertown, and we just wanted to buy. So whatever, right?
Wow.
I even had my girlfriend in on it. She made a call in, so there was a different voice.
Yep.
And she was just like, I was just wondering about Hulk Hogan. I'm like, what about Hulk Hogan? I ain't gonna crap about Hulk Hogan. So anyway, so I got that going, and I got all this stuff set up, and then, again, pulled off. I had quickly thrown together some stuff on some pieces of paper, so it kind of looked like news reporting. Right. So I looked very professional, it was good. And I had some stuff that I just was talking off the top of my head. There was some little blurb at the time, really don't recall, it's not that relevant, but there was something that was in the paper that was actually about professional wrestling. Right. So I just cut that out and pasted it onto the piece of paper. I read from that. Then I took the callers calling in and whatever. This is all one shot, one take,
right.
No mistakes, no second takes, no hold up and let's fix this better. This is just coming off like a hitch. And as it's happening, it's feeling good. So right. It wasn't even like, it was like really comfortable. I'm like, oh yeah, let's take another call in, and then he'd be in there. Yeah, this is Mike from Watertown, and I just wondered about, So we're doing all that. It was really cool. And then wrapped up the show. And again, this is winging, this is ad-lib. There was no rehearsing, there was no production meeting or whatever. So we get to the end, and in my head, I'm thinking like, oh my God, I gotta wrap this up. I can't do like a bad sloppy thing. So I used the sponsors. I thanked Signright, the sign company. I said Fraser Video Company, my friend Dave Fraser. He was, so there's a company. I named Rochelle and Steve. I didn't say they were calls in the back. I just said they were people that helped put the production together. Right. So I thanked that. I had sponsors. And then so off the cuff, at the end, last thing I said, I was just like, so we're gonna wrap this up. And I said, keep your shoulders off the mat and avoid the 10 count. And I said, Westie's Wrestling Wrap-Up, take it easy. And boom. And
that's awesome.
Oh no, I told you and I promised you and I would never kid. So yeah, pulled that off like that, put that together, and my buddy Dave edited it and stuff, so he made the credits roll like the sponsors, and he's like, Signright, Sign Company, and Fraser Video, and all this other stuff, and sent that to McAdam, and he thought it was the greatest thing he'd ever seen. Right. And he was just like, I need you up here like yesterday, and hired me on. And when I got there, I didn't manage. I was, there were 3 of us. Yeah. And we would rotate between play-by-play, color commentary, and ring announcer.
Oh, nice.
And we won the Wins TV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Channel 50 New Hampshire thing. And so what we do is we'd go and do the shows on Friday, and we were in, boy, that's tough remembering. I feel like sometimes we were Haverhill, other times we were in Plastow, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Plastow. I know people get testy
Yep,
about
it's
saying it
Plastow.
incorrectly, yeah. Just throwing this in there, Joel Davis, he was big on that. he was big on that roster. There's some phenomenal footage
Yeah.
of me interviewing him, absolutely hysterical. And there were some other people that were big then. Who was the guy that did the worm thing? Scotty. Yeah, he was Scott Taylor. He was there on that when he was just really young.
Was Johnny Vegas there by that time?
Yes.
Because I know he started with John McAdams
Yes,
too.
nope, and he wasn't that then. He was I don't recall. I apologize, John, buddy. His name, but yeah, he did most of the play-by-play because he was really good at that.
Yeah, he is good.
And I did the color commentary. Sometimes I did play-by-play. I did the ring announcing, but the ring announcing turned out to be my thing,
Right.
because I would go up and. Again, because I had my band with Chinstrap was highly popular and very successful. So a lot of my buds that came to the shows were fascinated that I was in wrestling,
Right.
so they would come to that. So I already had like fan base as a ring announcer.
Right.
So I would go out to do the ring announcing, and people were going berserk, and they were like, "Oh my God, whoa!" Like the ring announcer's supposed to like get all that kind of pop. There was
Like Rich Paladino gets it.
well,
Because
he
Rich is the only guy that really gets the
he
huge pop
is
now.
so well deserved.
Absolutely.
Rich, you know how much I love you, buddy.
best in the business.
Not even questionable, you know. But so that was funny. They eventually signed a guy. I believe his name was Christopher Cruz.
Yes, I heard Johnny say that on the podcast.
Yeah,
with
because he
Tarzan
used to
and
do
Jules,
then NCW and WCW rather, whatever. He was a great guy.
Cruz.
Kind of talked to the side of his mouth, whatever.
Yeah, he was good.
So he got signed in. So we actually had a credible name, some professionalism. He was completely enthralled with me. He thought I was this fascinating character, and he just didn't understand how I would go out to do the ring announcer and would get this giant pop. And he started calling me the Dean of UCW, like he just dubbed that my own thing. So he took it upon himself. This was his own thing. He went to McAdam, and he said he wanted to go out every week and announce me as the ring announcer to kick off the show. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, an unheard of thing. I was
Yeah.
super flattered, and I was like, he just was so fascinated by like
Right.
the crowd going berserk over the ring announcer, you know. So he would go out, and people would know like, what's coming up? And he's like, this is what you're really waiting for. Here he is, the Dean of UCW, Dr. Ozone, you know. And then I come out, and I mean, I had my suit on, and I had my hair like pulled back and tucked into a thing, and I looked really professional. And I used to do, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to wrestle. And kick it off, and like
That's cool.
really super exciting, and it really came across as more exciting than it actually really was, just because we had all that exciting intro thing. So we kind of started paring it down, and they're like, "Yeah, you're the ring announcer because you have to do all that." So
I heard they had pretty good production and stuff.
We did. It was-
especially for back then.
oh, no question,
Yeah.
it was the attempt and the approach was meant to be super professional.
Right.
We had big pre-production meetings, where to look, camera, face, and all that, and that led to the wildly hysterical and historical time of me interviewing Joel Davis, because they were grooming him to be the big heel.
Right.
He had the brutal Boston accent, and he would be like, "You people in New Hampshire are no good," and he'd be bad-mouthing everybody in the world. He wasn't that big in stature. He was kind of a short, little weird built, you know, kind of.
Joel's talented kid.
Oh, there was no
Don't
question of
doubt.
that. No question of that. So when we would do the pre-production meetings, John would say like a lot of, because these people, you know, they were just up and coming wrestlers as it was, so they didn't know things about TV and whatever and all that. So a lot of times they'd get all caught up in their promos, and they would be looking at me as if I was their opponent and be like, "I'll kick your butt in the parking lot." And so he would be like, "You know, you're not mad at the guy, the interviewer. You're mad at your opponent." So they're
Right.
like, look in the camera, pretend the camera's your opponent, and direct that towards them, but still with all that fire, you know. And then they would say to me, if they're not doing it just well, you know, with the way the cameras are, he would just be like, just kind of tilt them towards it. If they get too
Right.
caught up in looking at you, just kind of nudge them the other way, you know. Maybe you can even mutter like, the camera, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm interviewing Joel Davis. He's all wound up, fired up. You people in New Hampshire no good. You're no good. He's pointing at me. You're no good. And and all this other stuff. So I'm like, what about the fans? He's like, these fans in the blah. Here's me playing the straight man, whatever, which is funny in itself.
Yeah, it is funny.
And so he kept like looking at me, and he's bouncing up and down on his toes, and he's pointing in my face and spitting. And so I kept trying to tilt him back towards the camera, and he was just like, get your hands off. And he grabbed my very expensive, very nice, classy suit.
Yeah.
And it's bad. I couldn't help it. My instinct was, I was going to be like, I'll clock this fucking jerk, So then I realized, like, what am I doing, It's like, McAdam was very high strung.
Right.
He was really wound up. He was trying to make all this work, but he was taking it all upon himself. So he used to get, like, there'd be times where he'd literally, like, have clumps of his own hair in his hand, like, So we're doing this interview. He's grabbing me. I'm getting ready to clock him. The heel guy's not looking too good. It was already bad that I was bigger than him. And so it's looking like the big bad heel's about to get popped by the interviewer. And I could just see McAdam off to the side, like losing his mind. Like, This is not how this is supposed to go. So we made it through the interview, which was hysterical. And it's legendary. It's classic. And so when afterwards, and because we had the post meetings too, to just say what went well and what went wrong, And he was good about saying what went well, So it wasn't just like a bitch fest. It was like, he would tell, like, this is what was good. Keep doing that and stay like that, and you'll be good, But he was wigging out on that. He's like, what the heck with that interview? So he was like, Joel, the blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, to me, he's like, you're not supposed to be. I said, I know, I'm sorry, I can happen. I go, he grabbed my nice clothes. And
I'll tell you, Joel's really good at it now, because if you've seen the video of him challenging me and Sonny Goodspeed to a fight, he's
amazing.
looking right at the camera. He did a great job, man.
Yeah, see, I schooled him well.
But he is talented.
I schooled
Joel,
him
you
well.
are a talented guy.
No, there's no question of that.
Absolutely.
But great times, though, UCW. And again, person that has to be mentioned out of that is Sweet Lou Bordeaux.
Okay.
One of the best guys ever, not only just as business, but as a person, one of the really best guys. Right. So back when we were early, he was a ref. And, really cool, mellow guy, whatever. And then when McAdam kind of fell apart at the end there, Lou took it over, and he ran UCW before it folded, and he had it really run really well because he knew all the good things to do, and he wasn't high strung. His personality is so even keeled, so he knew how to work with everybody to their strengths and to try to eliminate weaknesses and exploit good things and whatever. So nothing but great credit to him as well, just to be mentioned.
Excellent.
But that's really my start with
that's
with the whole
awesome.
thing.
Well, I want to know now, how did you go from that to managing?
Awesome. That also has, needless to say, a great story.
All right.
So as we know, that GA/Osiris, the champ, is my flesh and blood nephew. And so back in the day when he was doing really well, as he was coming up on the Insurgent, Killer Kowalski School graduate, trained by Killer himself, and he was doing his thing. He started to get into modeling and acting. Was out in New York and whatever, and did a so-called retirement or whatever. And we're always in touch. We're really close. Right. And he would just always lament about how he missed wrestling, and his contracts with the acting and the whatever couldn't allow him to do wrestling because he couldn't get any kind of scarring or get injured or anything of that nature. But he was missing it because it's in his blood, So, we just kept talking, and more he was missing it, and he was thinking that maybe, when these contracts were up, that he'd ease his way back in, So, again, another super classic short story for you. I'm going to take up too much of your time here. There was one day he called me. I was working at Market Research Company, and he had called me on my cell phone, and we were talking, and something started happening there. We had an office inside the Watertown Mall, and it was a thing where we did surveys, like taste tests, movie clips, products before they were out, commercials. Yeah, we did all these things. I could go on and on about things that are commonplace products now that we did the surveys on way before they were even thought to be out. So, but because we were in the mall, and we were near Boston, whatever. We paid for the surveys. So if you went by, we had the office inside the mall, big glass opening, you know, it was an inviting thing because we invited people to see if they qualify for the surveys. But you could be going by, see me with this pimp wad of cash doling off. So people would stop and be like, oh, what's going on here?
How can I get some of
yeah,
that?
whatever it is, like I went in, you know. I used to say I had such a blast at this job. It was so up my alley.
Yep.
I treated it as equal parts sitcom,
Yep.
reality show, and game show. That was my job every day. And that's how I felt when I was working. And that's
Nice.
I was already, again, natural entertainer.
Yeah.
This was my job. I was having a blast rattling off money. There were females. There was just all kinds of fun going on. So yeah, so we normally would stop people out in the mall. And but people would see that, so they would come in and they'd flock in and they'd be like, "What do you?" And I'm like, "You have to qualify for a particular survey.
Right.
You know, if it was a cat food survey, you have to own a cat, purchase the cat food, blah blah blah." So so there were a lot of characters that would come in, you know, looking for easy, quick, you know, drug money or whatever it was, you know, to buy some booze or whatever. But there were a lot of unsavory characters, and it just happened to be this one day when I was talking to GA, and I had to put the phone down. This guy came in. I think he might have been a little effed up, and this big black guy, and he's being a little belligerent. And he was like, "I need $4, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "All right, we'll just settle down." I go, "The surveys, you have to qualify for them. Like you have to actually purchase stuff or buy things or be a consumer or contribute to society." Like I was already done with this guy. So he's carrying on and on. He's being all loud. He's not hearing anything I'm saying to him. And even if he's hearing it, he's not comprehending it, you know, whatever. So I'm starting to get ticked. He's wasting my time. He's pissing me off. He's upsetting other people that were qualified for stuff and were there. I used to keep this little Louisville Slugger that I got from Fenway Park. I used to
the
keep,
little souvenir bats. I had a couple of those.
yeah, I used to keep it. I used to keep it under my desk for, you know, in case whatever.
Unruly people.
So this guy, I'm like, he's starting to bum me out, and I go, he's not listening. So I grabbed it out. And I got it, and I had this little technique. I was swinging around. I had all the swagger with it, and I swung it around, popped it up, and I snapped it and put it right up against his temple, like really, really hard.
Yeah.
And I started marching him back because I figured if something happened, I don't want him inside our office. I want him out in the mall, and then I could just call security and say, "Yeah, take care of this trash, will you?" You know. So I got it up against his head and putting the bad mouth on him the whole time, and I'm backing him up, and. You know, I'm not realizing that I had left GA on the phone.
Right.
So he's hearing all of this. So somewhere in there, all the stuff I was saying sounded like awesome wrestling promos. And it sounded like I was in the middle of a thing with the match. It's like I was telling the guy what I was going to do to him and how I was going to. And the whole time I've got this bat pressed up against his temple. So anyway, so I marched him out, and then the security guy was going by, and I'm like, I go do something about that, will you? Yeah, whatever. So then I went back, and all the people were sitting there they were like, "No way, dude, that was awesome."
Nice.
You know, because I handled it tough, but without having to cause an incident, you know,
Right.
where anybody would have looked bad out of that, because I had to somehow try to stay professional. So I got back, and I was like, "Oh, GA's on the phone." So I got back, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot you were there." He's dying. On the other hand, dying, right? He's like, "What is all that?" I go, "That somehow or another, that's my job." That's the kind of crazy stuff that goes on in the middle of work.
Wow.
So right then and there, he was just like, "All right, well, I'm coming back after this contract's over." And he goes, and he, you know, my band was already huge, so I had all that rock and roll swagger, you know, going on. And he goes, "I just need you to bring your chin strap thing and your frontman persona and whatever that was that I just heard on the phone and all that." And he goes, "You come back and like you could be my manager and we could be like rock stars and like have a whole new way of coming out and coming back and being like bigger than, you know, whatever." And sure enough, he had set it up so that he made his contacts. He never really lost contact with people of importance, and to get back in. And a definite shout out goes to JC Marks for everything. NCW, he's the best guy ever.
Right, well, how about this? How about now, before we get to fan questions, last question. Tell us about your first show that you was a manager on.
Oh, that actually was going to segue right out of this. It was his big return back, and it was a show. I think it was Riverside, Rhode Island. If I'm off, I might be, but I'm pretty sure it was Riverside, Rhode Island. It was definitely Rhode Island, and it was his big return back. When he had left, he had actually had a wild incident with Triplicious and Trips and my man, and they had like busted through some glass foyer thing and some wild thing that spilled out into the parking lot and caused a horror show with the people that ran the place and JC and all this other stuff. So now as we turned back, they were going to have a deal where, kind of apologize to each other, clear that air. He's back, move on, no bad feelings or whatever. So Trips was in the ring. He was calling GA out to square this up and, maybe they apologize to each other, whatever it was going to be. So they're playing GA's music or whatever. And again, this was unbeknownst to anybody except for like JC, really. I come out. Like, I've never been in part of any of this. This is my first manager thing, whatever. And so I came swaggering out. I had the red suit. And I took my time, went right through the crowds, messing with everybody. Really took my time, really milking it. I see Trips in the ring. He's just like so confused and dumbfounded, like, what is that? Yeah. What's going on? And then I finally, maybe even milked it a little too much. Sorry, JC. But anyway, and got into the ring, and he was just like, what's going on? He's like, where's GA, whatever. So I didn't even acknowledge him. And I wanted to let people know who I was. And I was like, in case you've been under a rock or in a coma or in the hospital or live in the hills somewhere, I said, I'm Dr. Ozone. And then I went around and I was picking out people in the crowd and I was giving them crap. I was totally pulling major heel stuff. I insulted the town. I'm like, we got here earlier. I thought there'd be something to do. I'm like, boring, And I saw some kid in the crowd. I go, look at that look on your face. I go, I don't blame you. I go, if Triplicious is your favorite guy, I would be sad too. Like, and then I'm like, oh, blah, blah. And then I'm like, Triplicious. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, is that a rejected flavors of Ben and Jerry's? Is that like your stripper name? I'm like, I don't even know what that is, but blah, 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 blah. And then I just dismissed him. I'm like, I didn't even care about that. Yeah, sorry, we threw you through a glass, whatever. And then I was trying to address whoever GA's opponent was going to be for the night, which I believe was JT Dunn at the time. So I was like, JT, TJ, PJ, I don't even know, who cares? We got bigger fish to fry and whatever. But that was my auspicious debut.
For NCW and JC Mox. Nice. And you still work for them today?
Oh, no question. And I will forever to the grave. That's the best.
I'm going to, we have a lot of fan questions, and I don't know if I'm going to get to them all, but I do want to start with this one. From Brickhouse Baker.
Oh, my buddy.
How did you come up with your name?
Dr. Ozone?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. I've had that forever.
Really?
Yeah. When I was 9, my buddy, pal, my best friend in the world, Scott Haynes, who now lives in Maine, he used to call me O as a nickname. And then one day we were going to hang out. We were probably going to go play ball or something or whatever. And he was like, oh, hey, O, you're in the ozone, and it just sort of rolled off his tongue. And then I was like, that's cool. So like around 9, I got the nickname Ozone. And then I always had that. And like I said, I've been in entertainment most of my life. Right. So when I got older, the very first thing I did was a rock band that I started on my own. I was a drummer and lead singer of a 3-piece band. And so I was kind of just with the Ozone thing. I had a buddy that used to do a radio show. And I would go on his show and I would read the trivia questions. Yep. So he would call me in, and every week it was this big setup, and I was the voice of the mysterious Dr. Ozone. And that was really what started all that. So then from then on, anything I did, which has been a whole host of different things in entertainment, I've always been Dr. Ozone. So then it's been every mutation of Doc Ozone, Doc O, Dr. O, Ozone, the zone, in the zone, with Ozone, and all of that good stuff. Nice. I even had a good stint on WAAF in the day when John Osterlin.
John Osterlin, I've actually fed him in the show one time.
That's amazing. Yeah, him and I became
so cool.
best buddies. He had his show was in the Ozone. Yep. And then he would have me on his show, and he used to call me Dark Meat Ozone, and he was White Meat Ozone. And him and I had a good thing, and that was when Chinstrap was really huge, and we were big on AAF, and he would break all the rules and get himself in trouble and have me down on the show, and I would just sit, and he would take calls, and all my buds would call in, and he's like, you get more calls than I do. He's like, you're only on here for half an hour. And then the best was the guy, Dave, I can't remember his last name, because all those DJs that were in trouble then.
Was it Rocco?
Yeah, Rocco was in trouble, but the guy that was the manager.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, guy had his tight collar that was too tight. His
Right.
fat was bulging out, and he had these caterpillar eyebrows that just, he would get all worked up and they were moving, and I'm looking at them and he's like, don't laugh, don't laugh. I go, but the eyebrows with the caterpillar. And he would always come in, bust the door open and go to Osterlin, what the hell are you doing? And Osterlin, because he always stammered, and he'd be like, Dr. Ozone, Doc Ozone. He's like, the giant vagina they bought there. And he started sounding like he was insane. And
awesome.
I always felt like we were like little kids at the parent, the parents
Right.
are coming in like, I told you not to have him over here again, like whatever. But he's like, stick to the format, follow the thing. I don't care about whatever that is. Get him out of here, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And this went on like every week.
That's awesome because he's down in New Orleans now.
Yeah, yeah.
Doing talk radio.
Yes, yep, that's
And
right.
back then, when he was like the music director for AF,
Yeah.
they used to win the award every year for the best
Yeah.
rock music.
Yeah, no
in
question.
the program.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Every year he
Yeah.
won it.
Adult
then
contemporary.
He left and they haven't won it since.
No, yeah, no.
And now
Those
they're
days were gold, and that's
Yeah.
why Chin Strap was kicking butt. And
That's awesome.
Yeah, he would have me right on the show, and again, it's funny because he made the reference. Our song, which I never would have thought would have been our so-called hit or whatever, was the giant vagina that ate Boston.
I gotta check that song out.
Oh yeah, it's amazing.
All right, we're gonna get some more fan questions. Barassi Stoner.
For Versace,
Did I say it right?
Versace Stoner.
All right, Versace
420,
Stoner.
69. That's my buddy.
Doc, what's your favorite wrestling moment?
Moment. Wow. That's a phenomenal question and super hard to answer.
Yeah.
Because I've had like a lot of them. Like I could almost bail out and say all of them.
Right.
But maybe just without getting into too much detail or trying to think too hard or whatever, the Fenway, any
Yep.
of the Fenway shows, those are just gold.
Right.
Those are really special.
And have you been on all of them?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
thought
I
you-
have.
yeah.
Nope.
That's awesome. So,
credit to-
Unfortunately, we didn't get to have one this year.
Oh,
but
so
they'll be back
disappointing.
next year.
So disappointing. But yeah, no. And again, thanks to Bo Douglas and Dante Luna.
Yeah.
They put on those amazing presentations and they got us all in there, made us all part of history, especially that first show. What a big deal. They hadn't had wrestling there since, the Kowalski days
Yeah,
or
what was
whatever.
it, 68 or something like that? 68, 69? That's crazy.
Yeah, so to be part of that,
Yeah.
that automatically has to rank right up there.
Both those guys, phenomenal guys.
Oh yeah, no.
Both of them.
Best in the world, and again, transcending the wrestling thing, just as
Yeah.
people, those are phenomenal individuals,
Absolutely.
and they've made it good for everybody. And I know everybody feels the same way. It's just being thankful and appreciative of all of that. But yeah, no, those are great moments. And the last one that we had before was my personal favorite of the shows because I got to ref, first time I ever refed a match. I was special guest referee in a match that I actually wound up winning. And
You won the match?
Yeah. I had a dramatic, unexpected conclusion that had me draped across both participants, and I counted them out and ran away with with the belt. I got chased through Fenway Park for it, but that, and then on the same show, I managed 3 or 4 tag teams in the one tag team gauntlet.
Okay.
So I would go out, somebody would get eliminated, I'd
Right.
go back and come back out with another set of wrestlers, and I did that about 4 times in a row, and then wrapped up in the big battle royal that I participated in as a wrestler, and had a good time, got bounced around a bit, and then got tossed out by like 6 females.
Oh, yeah.
It started out. It was kind of like a dream that I had
Yeah,
had, and I was
exactly.
like, "Wow, this is going exactly how." And then they started kicking the crap out of me,
Yeah.
and they dumped me over under
And
those
the dream-
bricks on the thing, and I was
Yeah.
just like, "Oh!" And then I woke up, and I was like, yeah, I just got hurt."
Yeah, these women. All right, he's got another question. What's your thought on the churning of Osiris in NCW? I did not know about this, and we'll leave it at that because then there's a follow-up after.
No, okay, that one is a tough one because what happened was at the end of last year's WrestleFest, big conclusion, Osiris somehow switch snapped, and he did. He pulled some kind of crazy stuff that's like, So he had lost his match, and then he snapped on Foxy, and he was snapping on all kinds of Vern Vicalo. He was just banging people around, and this is serious. I had no idea what was going on.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, what are you doing? And I mean, there's the footage of this, and you could just see, like, there's no, like, put on or anything. And then I saw him turn, and he's looking at me, and in my head, I'm thinking, like, you're not going to snap on me. Like, I was trying to get him to calm down because the switch really had turned.
Right.
And sure enough, he yanked me in a thing. He had me yoked in some tight thing that I was just like, I'm like, you really like, there's no fucking around. And I mean, I was looking out and I'm seeing the look on people's faces and I'm knowing how it's feeling. And I'm like, this isn't like a real thing. That's not going very well, And somehow they got him off me or whatever. I was like really yoked out. And so that was like the last show of the year.
Right.
And so that was like really bizarre. And even afterwards, I was trying to get to him to be like, what the heck are you doing like out there? Like, that's not how we do stuff.
Right.
Especially there, like, And so that was whatever. And then, had our time. And then first show back after the break was March 13th. And it was right at the peak of the virus thing or whatever. So that show that night, we were going to try to clear the air and get everything straightened out. And all hell broke loose. Foxy was really upset, and they never got it resolved. And then at that show, there was some kind of fire or some crazy thing, because my man Versace, we were supposed to have a session with the doc that was long overdue. And right when we were trying to get everything squared away, there was some kind of fire and all this hell's breaking loose and all this stuff. And everybody had to disperse. And then there was the virus, because we were supposed to have a show that Saturday that got canceled. And then that was the end of everything. Wow. It was right at the March 13th. So it was right at the beginning of all of this stuff. And
that was the last day we had school.
Yeah. So that was all that craziness. So there really isn't a resolve. Again, of course, Osiris is my nephew. He's my flesh and blood, but we just kind of haven't really talked about it. And we figure when wrestling resumes, we'll try to figure out where his head's at and what's going on. But yeah, no, he really straight up kind of lost it there and went off the books and went off the chart and kind of got a little crazy on me.
Nice. All right, along with Versace and Dave Fournier wants to know, what's your favorite promotion you worked at and
Dave
why?
Fournier?
Yeah. Who's that guy?
Yeah, who the heck is that? The name sounds familiar, but favorite promotion? And that's kind of tough because I wouldn't want to slide anybody. All the companies I work for, I have been asked and invited, and it's very humbling and very flattering, and I'm very grateful and gracious. And according to all of those companies, it's helped build me to where I am, and I'm grateful to everybody. But just to really be open and honest, just my heart is NCW. Again, JC is the best person you could ever work with as far as any kind of business. And then to go into indie wrestling, he is the most honest, genuine, sincere promoter out there, hands down. And that's no offense to anybody else, but he's just that much of a great person. And it's almost like he's too good to be in indie wrestling, because there's a lot of scumbags and whatever. But he's just so the opposite and antithesis of that. And then he's also, with his company, is where I got my debut and my break. And it's just because of him that anything else good that I've gotten really stems from that. So I will really, and that's where my heart is. And like I said, to the grave, be NCW, because that's my family, really.
Okay. Let's see. Next, we have from Steve Andrews.
Hey, Steve, buddy.
What was the most difficult or troublesome person to manage? Like, they never listened or took any direction or any advice.
That's a good one. Very fortunately, I haven't really had that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, because anybody that I've either set up to work with, that has requested me to work with them, or that I wanted to work with, it was for those reasons. So I didn't expect to have any of that. And the only hint of anything I could even say of that, and again, testament to everyone that I've worked with, nothing but awesome. We all made each other greater. But just the weirdness with Osiris, that has to be mentioned, because again, it's unresolved. He's my nephew, so it's a little bit of a tricky situation.
You've been together for so long.
We've been together for so long, and we have been in other promotions where we had to be against each other.
Oh, okay.
But that was a known thing, and we went into it professionally and handled it well. There's even been a couple of times we beat the crap out of each other, which is fine, But this one right now, it's unresolved, and then the virus came along and messed up everything. So that situation is difficult. I wouldn't say he's difficult, but just that situation is the only tricky thing that I've ever really had to deal with. Other than that, testament to all the people that I've worked with, Ronnie Ribbs and Foxy and Dante and Big Dog and Hot Shot and Deshaun, and I could just go on and on and on. But I've loved everyone that I've worked with tremendously.
Okay, John Scanlon, Doc. Do you think Doc, do you think the Fellowship will be back together? I know some fans of Showcase Wrestling, including myself, would like to see you guys, all you guys back together.
I know. I get that a lot.
Right.
The fellowship was the shit in the day. We kicked so much ass. And
Now, the fellowship, I know yourself, obviously.
yes.
Osiris.
Yes.
Ronnie Ribs.
Yes,
and who else?
SOG. And then Dante came in. Dante Dio, he came in.
Okay.
He was the apprentice for a while, and then he came in and became official. And there's been a couple other people that were offshoot,
Came
kind
in
of
there.
part of it, whatever. But the core of it really was that.
Right.
And the initial spot when we were really in the heyday. We had one year there where we were number 20, I believe, in the top 50 international tag teams. We had set a record for the length of holding the belt when we were with Showcase for the tag team belts. We had set a record for length of time, and it surpassed all the records of Demolition and
Right.
and everything. And that was a pretty big deal. Fellowship was really, we were on a tear that was really unstoppable for quite a long time. I don't know. I guess you got to figure that there's always a possibility of always getting the band back together, as they say. That's never out of the realm of possibility. But right now, I can't speak on it to say neither here nor there. But I do like to acknowledge I get a lot of mention about coming to Showcase. Those people were always great to. Even when I turned heel and went nasty over there, they still love me. You gotta love me.
Absolutely.
Like I say, you might not like me, but you gotta love me.
Well, you brought up the SOG.
Yes,
Ronnie.
that's my man.
Now, was it at one time you guys had odds before?
I had odds, for lack of a better term, I
Okay.
guess. But there was just a couple of spots where when things got tricky, it was any combination of I looked at different opportunities and whatnot. But again, always for the most part, he's one of the best guys I've ever worked with, and he's a great personal
He is a
friend.
great guy.
No, and he's a really good, great personal friend, and any of that stuff is whatever. That's just part of what goes on.
Yeah, I just thought
in
I'd
the
bring it up
business.
because I do know at one time you guys were at
Yeah, that was
opposite
just
sides.
yeah,
That's
that was just in there. Like I said, I even had that with Osiris, and we were
Right.
in other companies. We beat the bejesus out of each other. But so again, you could just throw it out there. Never say never on anything.
Right.
But I do appreciate, like I said, a lot of people ask and they want to see it, and it's just funny. Even when we were heel, people still seem to to groove on it because, like I say, you might not like me, but you gotta love me. You have no choice.
Right. Well, the SOG sent in a question.
Oh, really? Did
Yeah,
he?
Ronnie wants to know, Doc, is it true you still have that lady's number from Burger King in Ohio? I have to ask it.
No, you could have left that out.
All right. We leaving that alone?
Excuse me, hang on a second. I need to. Wait, is this water or vodka?
No, it's water, unfortunately. No
All right,
vodka.
I didn't even read my rider. I asked for specifically.
Yeah, I know, but
So it's cheap vodka.
oh, boy, I just didn't have any.
All right, and here
don't have
you
any
get
money.
me without the mask. Anyway, what's the question?
The question is, do you still have that lady's number from Burger King in Ohio?
Yeah, no, I never actually really got her number.
No? All right.
But that story is absolutely hysterical and not one for right now.
All right. All right, that's cool.
But he knows what he was doing by bringing that up, and that's very funny. And I love you for that, and so much more. And then what was I going to say? Maybe her number would have been something like 48, 38, 46.
All right. All right. Yeah, we'll definitely pass that.
Yeah.
Now, I just found out that I was excited. I thought this Robert Fuller Jr. was the Tennessee stud. I guess he's not.
What?
Yeah, he's not.
It's not?
No, I just found that out last week.
Well,
or
who
week
the heck
before.
is this imposter messing
I
around
don't know.
like that?
But he wants to know, why are you afraid of clowns? That's what he wants to know.
Well, he should get in front of the mirror and ask himself why he's afraid of clowns.
Oh!
You clown.
See that, Robert?
And how dare you impersonate the Tennessee stud? You should be ashamed of yourself.
Right.
But isn't everybody afraid of clowns?
Yeah, I kind of.
And I'm not so much afraid of them as it's just they're just creepy and
Right.
they don't need to be in my life.
Charlie Honig.
Yes,
Doc Ozone.
that's my guitar player from
Where is the
Chinstrap.
child?
Excuse
Exactly.
me.
In what ate Boston?
That one is a great question. And Charlie, that's guitar player from
Yep.
Chinstrap. One of the best guitar players in the world.
Nice.
Period.
Yep.
No mistake of that. That's not hyperbole. That is spot on. He's
Right.
amazing. One of the best people I've ever known. great person. Love you to death, Charlie. And I could answer those questions. And those questions probably mean just something to him and I.
Yeah.
But my child is in McDonald's.
Okay.
And what was the second part of that?
What ate Boston?
The giant vagina.
All right, we gotta go. Yeah. All right, that's good. Mark Gomes wants to know, what have you been doing during this pandemic? We gotta get over that. That's like,
Hey, you all went to high school with her. Anyway, pandemic, what have I been doing?
Yeah.
A lot of sexting.
yeah.
Hell, heaping the whole load of sexting. But no, I just been laying low, trying to stay in and be safe and trying to follow the guidelines.
Yep.
Not everyone's doing that. It upsets me because this is a real thing and people are dying. And I actually know people close to me that have died from it and that have also gotten it and had a terrible time with it. So I can attest to that. It is a real thing for those of you that think it's a hoax or whatever foolishness that is. It sucks and it's put a damper on a lot of things. But just trying to maintain my mental abilities and my sanity and just hanging out and entertaining the crap out of myself. I entertain myself so unbelievably well. It's unbelievable.
But you're so right, though. Like, people aren't doing it. I actually lost a mother-in-law.
Oh.
My girl's stepmom, and she was just a great lady, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, we just lost the great James Hatt, the great Kamala.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? To the COVID. And, you know, rest in peace there.
No, seriously.
Seriously.
But it is, and I just did think it's odd that people think
Yeah.
that it's a hoax or that it's not real or they don't take it serious. I'm like,
No, wear your masks, people. Do it.
Yeah.
Do what they ask you to do.
yeah,
That's
it's
all.
not a big
Do what
deal.
you ask.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
Your ass stuff.
Yeah, what's just, it's wash your hands or die,
Right. All right. So I was going to go to Dave's question about John McAdams, but you kind of answered all that earlier. If you could manage anyone,
Wow.
who would it be? And this is from Dave Fournier.
Oh my gosh.
That guy, Dave Fournier again.
Yeah, pain in the ass. Anyone, meaning like just anyone?
Anyone. Yeah, he said anyone.
All right, well, again, without hemming and hawing and
Yeah.
trying to overthink and all this other stuff. And then we're talking dead, alive,
Anything. It said anyone.
All right, well, I'm just going to rattle off just a few names, and it
do
doesn't
that.
even
That'd be
matter
great.
about overthinking or any of that. Nia Jax, Bruiser Brody, Missing Link, Magnificent Morocco, and let's leave it at that.
That's a good group of guys right there.
It's
That
just
really
interesting,
is.
kind of a weird list, but it's my list, so I don't
Right,
care.
exactly. All right. Any memories of the firm?
Oh my gosh, nothing but fond, awesome
Yeah.
memories. Not any. That's
And
not.
who are members of the firm now again?
Well, it was Dave Fournier.
Yep.
He was Big Dave. He was like my bodyguard,
Okay.
protector. And then at the time we were working with, it was either Simply the Best or Simply God's Best, G.A. West, who was G.A. now, Osiris the champ. And at that time we were doing really well. And we used to just have a blast at all the shows we were going around to and getting on. And I was building up myself and my name and getting in the thing. And really just about every match that GA had at the time were really good quality matches. And they were matches that both people were using to elevate their careers and to look back on them. They were really great and it was shaping the way all kinds of people. We used to have epic matches with JT. JT Dunn.
JT Dunn, yeah. I actually saw a really good picture of you and Dave pointing at JT Dunn, half in the ring, half out of it.
Yeah, no, I used to choke the crap out of him.
He's got a lot of talent, man.
I
He's
used
got
to
a
do
lot of talent.
every bad thing in the world. And it was funny there because we started out as heels there.
Right.
And that's NCW. And now, like,
Right.
couldn't be heel if I wanted to.
Yeah,
Because just those people are just too good. And they seriously love me so much. And
All right.
and I love them too. And it's what it's all about. And it's what shaped my career. But yeah, no, when we were doing the firm, we always had a very firm, good time all the time.
All right. So next question from Anthony. Nope, you've already answered that question. So how about we'll go with Crispin Coles. Is there
Crispin,
anyone
baby.
you don't love? And tell me why you love him the most. I get a lot of these questions about people that put themselves into the question.
But see-
Every show I get at least one of those.
But I love that though.
Me too.
And
I do.
because
I
of
think it's
that, and
hilarious.
because it's him, and he knows how much I love him. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. You tried.
F-bomb city. Anyway, but that's just a phenomenal question. And I'll just repeat it again because I just want to hear it. I love the
Is there anyone you love? Is there anyone you don't love? And tell me why you love me the most.
I don't know. Again, without overthinking, to say anyone I don't love. No, I love most people. People are really good to me, so I don't have a reason. Like, if anyone's that much of a jerk to have a bad thing with me, then that's on them. You know?
Right.
It's like, what are you, a jerk? You know? But I love him because of that question.
Nice. All right, so why don't we play the name game?
What's
We got
the
about
name?
3 minutes. I'll be able to get a name or two in there.
What's the name game?
How about you just tell me something? I'll throw a name out. You tell me something about him. Something you like or don't like, whatever. Foxy Calvin Campbell.
Oh my God. That's the best one you could have picked out of the zillion names. That's the best one you could have picked.
Nice.
I could spend an hour talking about him. That's, for all intents and purposes, that's my son.
Okay.
He's my son.
Nice.
Looks like me, talks like me, walks like me, acts like me, sounds like me, dresses like me, moves around like me. That's my son.
All right.
That's Ozone Jr., baby, right there.
We got 2.5 minutes, so I'm going to throw a couple. Hopefully, we can get a couple names in there. How about Mike Montero?
Oh my gosh, the ace, baby. Really great talent, and his work is put in, is shown. I couldn't think more highly of him. Again, earlier days, him and Osiris had a lot of good battles. We were in different promotions where one or the other was the heel and whatnot, and really talented and hardworking and a great person individually, and nothing but praises for him, and his future is gigantic.
Excellent. How about Timmy Kilgore?
Oh, a great close buddy from way back.
Great entrances he's been doing too, huh?
Those are awesome, and the fact that
Unbelievable.
he's reinvented and
Yeah.
has his second career, so to speak, or whatever. Nothing but praises. Again,
Right.
as a person, a great individual. We have a phenomenal history. He's nothing but great to me, and his whole family is just very lovely. And he's a great guy, great person, and a great wrestler. Very smart.
Very underrated too.
Oh, my
way
gosh. Oh yeah,
underrated.
no.
All right. How about BRG? I'm just throwing random names.
I love them. I love these. Oh, I love these. He's
also known as by me Donovan Piper.
okay about that, but again, somebody that has just put in such amazing work. We have a tremendous history, go way back, and for me to see him go from where he started out to where he is now is nothing but a testament to his own super hard work and effort he puts in, and his attitude and his spirit is phenomenal. We've had odds at other points over the different promotions and things we've been in, but nothing but utmost of respect and love for him. And he's a super talented and, again, hard-working individual that puts in the effort and the time, and then it shows.
Absolutely.
So he's a great
he loves
example.
hockey like we do.
Yes, he
I mean,
does.
it's his favorite sport.
He likes
he's
the
a Canadian.
I was going to say he likes the wrong
Whatever.
teams, but that's on him.
But he definitely is a great talent. Doc, we got 30 seconds. Why don't you plug your social media if you'd like to?
Oh yes, I got Facebook is the Doc Ozone, and my Instagram, as most of you know, is Dr. Motherfucking Ozone, and that's FUKKEN, MUTHAFUKKEN. So we're not actually saying anything derogatory, as it were.
Listen, we're gonna have to do this again.
Oh, I would
because
love
this time
to.
went so fast, and
I
we
know.
didn't even get near half the
Oh
fan
no,
questions.
we have more we could cover for sure.
Thanks for coming on, bud.
Thanks for having me. This was
problem.
awesome.
Guys, we're out. Peace.
Woo!
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.